Is your makeup toxic? Chemical-free cosmetics. How many of you have read something like this online or in a magazine or in a newspaper at some point? Yeah, me too. It's everywhere. And, in the last 3 years as a chemical educator up at Quest, I have thought a lot about the intersection of 3 different fields: chemistry, scientific communication, and personal care products, specifically cosmetics. And I started to think about this for 2 reasons. First, like all good scientists, I got frustrated with bad science communication to the public. And second, I buy makeup. I've been wearing makeup for 15 years, and I turned 30 a couple years ago, and I'm going to tell you about how they market makeup before and after you're 30. It's not the same thing. So I'm going to argue that there's 2 competing narratives that actually work together to create a really problematic and confusing discourse around the chemistry of cosmetics. The first is our sort of so-called fear of chemicals. Dangerous chemicals, they're everywhere and they're out to get you and everybody needs to be afraid of them. And half of that is true. Chemicals are everywhere. Chemicals are atoms and atoms make up everything, and so everything is chemical. You and me and what you're drinking and what you're sitting on, it's all a chemical, right? It's true. What we should be afraid of is toxic chemicals, yeah? Toxic chemicals are those that can have adverse health effects or those that are bad for the planet. The problem is that chemicals and toxic chemicals are being used synonymously. And I would argue that no industry is doing this more than the beauty industry, because they can run up the price on so-called natural or botanical or organic products when they're actually not natural, botanical, or organic at all. Now, at the same time as you're being made to be afraid of chemicals, which is not good, because you shouldn't be, you're also buying products that are really poorly regulated. And so the beauty industry does not experience regulation at the same level that other industries do. Companies can market things as they want. There's no long-term studies in most cases. In fact, you, the consumer, you're the clinical trial. When you buy something, you're participating, whether or not you want to. It is much, much easier to put something out and pull it than it is to do the long-term studies. So if everything's poorly regulated and it's all very confusing and it's really hard to buy anything, I don't know if you've ever been to a London Drugs and you've just stood there, frozen by fear. I'm a chemist and I can't buy cosmetics. It's really hard. Why is anybody wearing them, right? Aren't they just these like optional thing that's like vanity? It's like, yes, but also mostly no, right? So I've had my job for 3.5 years and I've not worn makeup to it 3 times, where I've answered important questions such as, are you okay? And is there something wrong? Women who wear makeup to their job interviews are offered higher salaries. 2/3 of employers report treating a job candidate more favorably if they wear makeup. So is it optional? Sure. Is it actually optional? No, not really. And there's a cost beyond what is expected of me and my face to do my job. There's a cost that is actual cost. This bag is what I have used today, right? And like grad school wasn't kind, but like this is a lot of stuff and it's a lot of money, right? And like conservatively, this is taking me like 10 minutes a day, which is like 2 days of the year when you add everything up. And that is true. I teach quantitative reasoning. So, we're spending money. It's this huge thing. But why isn't cosmetics being treated as the legitimate scientific field that it actually is? Because it's a combination of chemistry and biology and biochemistry and manufacturing, and it all comes together. It's because we don't value women's health the same way we value health. Women are 10% less likely to receive life-saving CPR in public because people don't want to touch them. And all the symptoms we know of a heart attack, it's largely for men, not women. But women are at greater risk for heart disease. And I'm certainly not arguing that my eyeshadow palette is as scary as a heart attack. But I do believe that the confusion about both of them comes from the same place. It comes from a lack of value on women's health. And the thing about cosmetics is we can do something about it. So what can you do? First, treat cosmetics like the serious scientific field it is. It is a real science with real chemistry happening. Second, buy from good, transparent companies, those that actually tell you what their stuff is in there and not just using buzzwords to confuse you. And last but not least, the next time somebody asks you if your makeup is toxic, instead respond by asking, why is the narrative around cosmetics so toxic? Thank you.